once again to Race World, and first this week, round 3 on Germany's Beru Top 10 Series brings us Formula 3, Formula Renault and touring cars from Hockenheim. We'll look behind the scenes at the technology that drives a Formula 1 steering wheel. Round 3 of the World Series by Renault takes us to Valencia in Spain. And finally we've got Dutch Formula Renault from Zandvoort. But first, it's Beru Top 10 Round 3 from Hockenheim.
The German Beru Top 10 National Championships take us to Hockenheim for Formula 3, Formula Renault and touring cars. First, let's take a look back to last year, where Claudia Hürtgen was already on her way to her second DCC title for BMW, fighting it out with the Ford Focuses of Thomas Klenker and Marc Simon. It was never easy. Division 2 it was Fiesta against Opel. Ralph Martin, emerging champion after a hard-fought season. Martin took no prisoners. This is how he won race 2 from Harold Hennis and Carsten Siffert. Brazilian Juan Paulo de Oliveira was the Formula 3 winner. And the Toyota Yaris Cup went to Switzerland's Philippe Beru. And as always, the Renault Clio Cup provided plenty of thrills, as Renault Lips demonstrates here. Timo Schupp went on to win that one. Formula Renault saw 5 abreast action, whittled down to 4 by the time they arrive at the hairpin. And back to this weekend, and a packed paddock for the 6th National Race Series being contested in warm sunshine, with plenty to keep spectators' attention, both on and off the track. As always, the former DTC, now the German Production Touring Car Championship, proves the biggest attraction, led by the MG of Matthias Schlappi after the first 2 rounds at Oschersleben and the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And as usual, Schlapp is on pole for race 1 despite carrying 60 kilos of penalty weight, having won the previous 3 in a car in the colours of a factory which no longer exists. Good start for Schlappi, but not so great for teammate Rainer Waschtuck, who's out-dragged by the foci of Sascha Plodal and Wolfgang Trummel. Schlappi wins for the 4th time from Plodal and Waschtuck. But his main rival, Opel's Sandra Vogel, had gone no further than lap 2 with electrical problems. Bad enough to keep him out of race 2. Citroen's Thomas Mullens wins Division 2 in his Citroen Saxo VTS from the similar cars of Tobias Pfister and Marco Wolf. Mullens' race 2 ends prematurely, heavily into the Sachs curve barriers. gives teammate Fiesta the class win, although Mullens continues to lead the series after 3 rounds. Citroen's Guido Tierfelder takes 2 third places to stay second overall. Division 3 is the domain of the Alfa Romeo 147 Diesel Brigade, headed by Roland Hertner. He leads the championship standings from Sport Auto magazine back Markus Lungstrasser. Let's have a look at the Division 1 start. Race 2 seeing Schlappi again on pole, the starting order having been decided by race 1. This time Plödel gets the whole shot into turn 1, but Schlappi soon reasserts himself at the head of the field. Bastuk is becoming increasingly competitive by the race. It finishes with the MG1-2, yet again a happy Schlappi. Nothing, of course, beats good old-fashioned aerobic workouts, and a couple of laps around Hockenheim on foot does none of them any harm, as well as letting them perfect their racing lines. Among contenders is Ireland's Michael Devaney.
Pretty much I do 10 kilometres 3 times a week, and also on the weekends I go on my bike and do about 50 Ks, and during the week I go to the gym and do some weights. But most of the time during at home I'm working on my neck, which is important for the F3 car from the G-forces. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let's go racing. Round 2 of the Recaro German Formula 3 Championship with Devaney on pole for the first of 2 races. Behind him, Germans Ferdinand Kuhl and Robert Kath, then first round winner Chinese Ho Pin Tung. Devaney makes no mistake, leading the big 27 car field from the start. This big midfield fight is between Florian Schitzenbaumer and Christian Zeller, just as fierce for 17th place as it is up front. And midfield spinners too. Luca Iaconi losing 5 places as he gathers himself up. This is the 10th place battle between Julian Theobald and Manuel Taxica. Devaney has this one well under control, lapping cars midway through the 25-minute race. Well, trying to. Daniel Rodder puts the leader off the road, and Kuhl spins in avoidance. That was close. Kuhl retires, leaving Kath in second, while Pascal Kokem and Jochen Nurpel dispute third place. Somewhat roughly. No problems though for winner Michael Devaney, as he tells Racewell.
The race quite easily, and we came up to a back marker then with Ferdinand right behind me, and the back marker doesn't see us, and I don't know, behind me I think Ferdinand spun and nearly hit me as well, but I think it was the fault of the back marker and not Ferdinand. So after that I had a big gap to Kath, and from there I could just drive normally to the checkered flag and got the win.
Race 2 with the grid from a separate qualifying session. Round 1 winner Peter Eltman on pole from Martin Hipper. But disaster for Devaney as his Opel engine lets go on row 2. The 20-year-old Dubliner, son of 1970s British Formula 3 Championship racer Bernard, is disconsolate. Hipper takes the win from Eltman, Kuhl and Hopin Tung. Tung and Eltman shared the championship lead after 4 races. We'll be back with more from Hockenheim after the break. Back to Hockenheim in the third round of the German Ford Fiesta Cup, which is being fiercely contested between these 3 guys. 2004 champion Carsten Seifert, 2003 champion Ralf Martin, and 2004 Toyota Yaris Cup champion Mikael Schaff. This was Martin dominating the 2003 season in his old style Fiesta ST. A year later, Seifert was at the top of the Fiesta tree, taking his place as one of 2004's Beru Top 10 champions. Alongside Schaap, who had blitzed the Yaris series. The 2005 Fiesta STs have the 2-litre Duralex motor, tuned to 170 horsepower, and they provide the biggest of all the German championship fields of 30 cars regularly on the grid. Race 1 at Hockenheim seen Seifert on pole from Martin taking an immediate lead with Christian Hartmann and Bertold Bechtel 3rd and 4th. Nicole Mullenmeister crashes out before rejoining with her hatchback wide open. Still Seifert from Martin, but Harald Procik has now moved up into 4th as they take the checkered. His Autohaus Muller team is delighted as it puts him into the championship lead, but race 2 goes to Hartmann, Bermel and Martin, with Seifert only 7th, and Martin now leads. In Sunday's Toyota Yaris Cup race, there's some bad feeling after Dutch girl Sandra van der Sloot collides with Poleman Steve Kirsch and ends his race. She tells Raceweld about it.
I think he is angry at me because I touched him, but in the beginning he wasn't so fast. Geipel tried to pass him by. With me he let a gap and I get into the gap and we touch each other.
Geipel wins from van der Sloot, her best Yaris result yet, with Sven Landgraf in 3rd. This is round 2 of the German Formula Renault Championship, with German Matthias Müller on pole from championship leader Pekka Saarinen of Finland. Saarinen wastes no time intimidating Müller into giving him the lead of race 1. Pekka's team is confident he'll keep it too, although he was beaten by Russian Mikael Aleshin at the Oschersleben opener. Felipe Albuquerque and Dimo Reichlin are robustly contesting 3rd place behind Saarinen and Aleshin as Müller falls back. Saarinen stays out front, although Aleshin's fast closing as they take the checkered flag. Saarinen celebrates his first win before talking to Raceweld.
I expected more difficult race, but I got very good start again, and I was able to pass Mila, and rest was easy. Just to keep pushing hard.
Race 2 sees Saarinen outpaced in qualifying by Bruno Fechner, who was 3rd in Oschersleben. Aleshin is starting 3rd. start from Fechner, who heads the Finn into Nordkurve with Relation, Albuquerque and Rahel Frey following. Ricardo Brun spins out big time, hitting the tar wall and ending his race on the spot. Saarinen's in trouble, dropping back to third, with Portugal's Albuquerque already trying to take him through the Sachs curve. Saarinen's handling is rapidly deteriorating, putting him off the road more than once. Finn rejoins from this second one, now in 10th place. Fechner's made the most of it, pulling out a big, in Formula Renault terms, 6-second lead over Elation and Albuquerque. Bruno Fechner takes his first Formula Renault win from Mikael Elation and Felipe Albuquerque, while Saarinen finishes a lonely 8th. We talk to Fechner.
Klasse. Der Start war auch
class, he said. I made a great start from pole. It was perfect and I was never headed. It was super.
Einfach super.
There's the points after 2 rounds, 4 races. Russia still out front from the old Cold War enemy Finland. Then Fechner leaping into third ahead of Miller and Oschersleben winner Kasper Andersen. Be with Race World at the next Beru Top 10 weekend. Where is it?
Sachsenring. Sachsenring. Sachsenring.
Der Sachsenring ist unser nächstes Rennen.
Okay, next we look behind the engineering scenes to look at the technology involved in a Formula 1 steering wheel.
These really were those magnificent men in their flying machines, the giants who drove the titans of the 1930s without helmets, seatbelts, or the rollover protection that today's drivers take for granted. Their speeds were little slower, but without power steering and electronic gear changes, a lot of muscle was required.
Dieses Auto ist nun gut.
Next Formula 1 driver Christian Danner tells us his car is now a good 20 years old. The main focus of the cockpit, however, is still the most important part of any car, the steering wheel. The instruments then were arranged quite differently, and the only one the driver really had to worry about was the rev counter. In a modern Formula 1 car, the cockpit and steering wheel are packed full of electronics. Drivers can use these coloured buttons while driving for all kinds of adjustments and settings. That includes traction control and the engine electronics. The steering wheel is now the car's command centre, a multifunctional instrument which does a lot more than deciding the direction in which the car's travelling. Composed of 120 parts, it weighs just 1.3 kilos, with over 20 coloured buttons and hidden switches. The driver has to memorise numerous menu options, not so easy when you're racing at 200 miles an hour. Gear shifting no longer requires a lever. It's all done by 2 paddles behind the rim, one for up, the other for down. BMW Williams' Nick Heidfeld calls all this multitasking. What every car has, for instance, he says, is the pit lane speed limiter and another for neutral. Then there's the drinks bottle pump, so you can keep taking in fluid. You can also change the car's balance. There's traction control, and there's many different settings for that. What else? Well, you can also adjust the differential. There's just so many things to think about.
Traktionskontrolle, da gibt es verschiedene Settings. Was haben wir noch? Das Differential funktioniert auch, kann man auch beeinflussen. Da gibt es viele Sachen, an die man denken kann und muss.
We take a closer look at some of those controls. At the touch of a button, drivers can alter the feel of the clutch and of the steering. The traction control dial influences the slip of the rear wheels, preventing them from spinning by using electronics to throttle back engine output. It also gives you maximum acceleration when you need it, at the start or when exiting corners, and it can reduce it on a wet track. Changing from dry to rain tyres, the suspension setup can be altered at the touch of another button. Likewise, keeping in touch with your pit by radio. Although every team has similar control systems, the actual electronics remain a closely guarded secret. In contrast to engine and aerodynamic issues, electronics remain a grey area as far as innovative freedom is concerned, hidden even from the regulation makers. Williams engineer Frank Durney explains more.
Whereas if you have a really clever idea, I don't know, the equivalent of traction control, but some new clever idea that no one's had yet, and you incorporate it into the controller, which controls the engine in some clever way and does clever things with the gearbox, no one will ever know you've done it, so no one can copy it. And if the FIA can't find it, which they almost certainly won't, you will be able to have that sort of a technological advance without anyone being able to copy it or know. So in that respect, I think in the electronics, very clever electronic control systems is the only area left in Formula One where very clever innovations can come, because you can only get away with doing really clever things if the others can't copy you, really.
Central command is not so much in the hands of drivers, but at their fingertips, through which they can change gear, alter settings, talk to their teams, and make dozens of adjustments. But they still have to work with their hands to steer and their feet to accelerate and decide where to point the car and where to brake, and all without taking their eyes off the road.
Welcome back. Now we head to Valencia in Spain for round 3 of the World Series by Renault.
Round 3 of the World Series by Renault takes us to the Spanish circuit of Ricardo Tormo at Valencia, the 4-kilometre autodrome used by many Formula One teams for winter testing. On pole for the first of 2 races this weekend for the 3.5-litre V6 single-seaters is local man Felix Portero for the Epsilon Escudi team, with teammate Robert Kubica of Poland, who won the first round at Zolder, alongside. France's Eric Salignon for Cram and American Colin Fleming for Jansa make up row 2. On row 3 are Austrian Andreas Zuber and Australian Will Power, both for Carlin Motorsport. Spaniard Adrian Valles for Pons and German Markus Winkelhock for Draco complete the top 8. There are 28 starters in all, with Monaco winner Christian Montanari only 19th after qualifying problems. But Salignon has stalled on the formation lap and will start from the back, leaving a space on row 2. Lights go out. Porter and Kubica make perfect starts, leading down to turn 1 as Zuber's slow away from row 3, dropping to 7th. Behind the 2 Epsilon cars, Fleming 3rd, then Power, Valles and Simon Pagenaud, the Frenchman gaining 4 places already. Power lunges for 2nd, but slides off and loses a dozen places. Here's Powers off again, the American driving too hard, too early. So is Moroccan Mehdi Benani, spinning out on the opening lap. He plants his 450 brake horsepower Dallara firmly in the gravel. End of lap 1, the order now Portero, Kubica, Power, Valles and Pagenaud, as we see Benani's off again. Valles from Toilada finished 3rd on the streets of Monaco, driving for former world motorcycle champion Cito Pons' team. He was last year's World Series by Nissan champion, the same series which is now using Renault power. Adrian was 19 years old just 2 days ago. Another spinner, almost, is Italian Rafael Giammaria, who's replaced Pastor Maldonado, banned for 9 races after running down a marshal in Monaco qualifying. Laps completed and Zuber is back to 6th after his poor start. Tenth place, Jaap van Lagen now spins out. The Monaco runner-up is able to rejoin, although he loses several places. See it again. He performed an impressive 360-degree spin, getting 10 out of 10 for style, but it's a costly error. Lap 7, and it's still Portero, Kubica, Power, Valles, Pagano, and now France's Tristan Gomendi here in the blue KTR car, who's moved up to 6th place. He's setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Gomendi finished 4th in Monaco despite a broken front wing. Giammaria's race comes to an end in the kitty litter on lap 8. Half distance and no change in the top 5, but Gomendi has fallen back to 7th behind compatriot Patrick Pilet after his earlier charge. Sweden's Alex Danielsson leads the next group, fighting for 7th. Kubica's fighting off the unwelcome attentions of Will Power, a Minardi Formula 1 test driver last year. Power, who was also Australian Formula Holden champion in 2002, was just set fastest lap so far. Pagano continues to bring up the rear of the leading group. Giorgio Mondini spins out on lap 14, abandoning his Euro International Renault before the marshals can get to him to push him back onto the track. Here's the 6th place fight, still Pilet from Gomendi, and then Sweden's Alex Danielsson. In 10th is Ernesto Toccacello, who won the first non-points race at Zolder. And in 12th place is Monaco winner Montanari, showing just how competitive this series is weekend to weekend. 5th place Pagano in the yellow DGH Saunier car finished 2nd in the 2004 Formula Renault Eurocup. But it's still the 2 Spanish Epsilon Euskadi cars run by ex-Formula 1 engineer Juan Vildeprat which are holding sway out front. Portero heads into the final lap with a 1-second lead over teammate Kubica. Born in Madrid, Portero was 9th in last year's World Series by Nissan, setting the outright lap record here at Valencia. This would be his first major international race win. Kubica from Krakow in Poland was a Formula 3 Euro Series regular, winning races in both 2003 and 2004. Felix Portero takes the win from Robert Kubica to give Epsilon Scardi the series' first ever Team 1-2 finish. Will Power holds off Adrian Valles for third place, with Simon Pagenaud fifth and Patrick Pilet in sixth. Epsilon teammates congratulate each other. Well, the results: Portero wins by 1.1 seconds, with Power 1.9 seconds behind after 19 laps. American Fleming comes back from his first lap spin to finish in the points in his first WSR race. The top 10 all get points. Here come those points. Kubica now leading overall on 44 to the 28 of Valles and the 24 of Zuber, who failed to finish her after clutch failure on just the third lap. Portero becomes the fourth different winner of the four races, joining Kubica, Toccocello and Montanari. As the three podium finishers get stuck into the champagne, we'll take a break. We'll be back with race 2 from Valencia next week.
Welcome back, as now we head to the seaside, to be exact, Zandvoort in Holland, for another round of the Dutch Formula Renault Series.
The Dutch Formula Renault Championship is one of the hardest fought in Europe, and the Marlborough Masters weekend at Zandvoort is its showcase event. 2 races with former karting stars Junior Strauss and Ricardo van der Ende heading the points table after 3 rounds. 25 cars on the grid for Saturday's first race, with race world back Strauss and van der Ende on the front row. We're racing. Why use the black stuff when there's plenty of green? Strauss leads van der Ende and Xavier Marcel into Tarzan for the first time, as fourth place becomes a 12-car battle. Cars are powered by 190 horsepower 2-litre Clio Sport engines. Pack is Carlo Van Dam as Briton Tom Kimber-Smith goes wide and almost loses his place to Rodolfo Gonzalez. Into Tarzan rarely works. And this is no exception. Yolma Berman lucky to stay on the road. Patrick Dirk spins coming through the corner, but everyone misses him. ender-enders race comes to a violent end. The Dutchman lucky to walk away from this. We'll take another look at that. It goes wider and wider, and then he's off at high speed. Masson makes a bid for the lead, but he and Strauss collide. Masson will lose a lap restarting. Van Daan and young Clary take up the chase, but Strauss is still the class of the field. Goes wrong for Patrick Dirks on the penultimate lap. Lucky not to flip over completely. The strength of the chassis does its job. The car's wrecked, Dirk survives to race another day. Still under yellows, Strauss wins from Van Dam and Clary. Dirks is thankful to walk away. Strauss knows all about winning, but he's still got a lot to learn about champagne. On Sunday, and Ricardo Bruns is on pole from Renger van der Zande. Strauss starting back on row 4. But Bruns is slow starting, and it's van der Zande who gets the whole shot into Tarzan from Masson and Berman. There's the usual first corner bumping and boring, but everybody goes through. Van der Zande keeps the lead from Masson, but Bruns has moved up to 3rd. Further back, Jan van der Silk and Dubliner Patrick Hogan, the 5th disputing 7th place. Stefan Soderberg is spinning for Sweden. Yesterday's winner, Junior Strauss, is not having a happy race, breaking a wing in his attempt to force through to the front of the field. He's on his way to the pits. Fourth place is now between Berman in the orange car and Van Dam. Svenson's race ends early when he's assaulted, breaking his rear suspension. Peter Bellmans is yet another Tarzan spinner, while Strauss tells the whole world why he's retired. Bernd Doiling outbreaks himself into Tarzan, which is now looking more like Zandvoort Beach. Then Mervyn Kuhl loses his car in a big way and brings out the safety car, with Van der Zande still leading Masson and Bruns. With the Kuhl car still immovable, the race is flagged early with no change in the order. Delighted Renger van der Zande celebrates in style. There's a rolling start for the Dutch Renault Clio Championship, which has the same 190 horsepower 2-litre engine as Formula Renault cars, and their race is in the wet at the end of the Marlborough Masters weekend. Starting from pole is Phil Bastian, second in the series from Alain Kalf by just 1 point. Kalf is back on row 3. Bastians and Bertus Saunders break away from the field with Dylan and Mark Costa following. Saunders slides into the Tarzan gravel, followed by others. The Costa brothers are now second and third. Gaston Garaval's tastefully coloured car is off. The rain gets even heavier as the Dunlop-Tard Clios scrabble for grip. Bastian, the Costas, Bernd Gesman. In the black-white number 2 cars, championship leader Kalf, currently 7th, back look at Mike Bichur. Marco Bikers slides into the kitty litter. Quickly followed by Philip Leber and 2 others. A lack of traffic awareness nearly puts off leader Bastians, but he fights it and keeps out front. Dylan Costa misses his braking point and pays with his 2nd place. Dutchman slides out of 4th place and into the barriers. Making the Kalf for sure fight, now one for the final podium place. Into Arie Luijendijk box for the final time, and Kalf knows it's all or nothing. Phil Bastians takes the win from Mark Costa. Alain Kalf pulls out from behind Mario Bick to take the final podium place right on the line. Bastians has now overtaken Kalf's championship lead, but there's still plenty of races to go.